And if it's a short pass, I play it, have it back, play it, have it back,
Yeah.
play it, have it
Yep.
back.
Keep
Wait
it
and see
simple.
what the
Yeah.
wait and see what that opposition player does.
Yeah.
If he if he zigs, then you zag. So if he comes to that
Yeah.
player, you might go the other way.
Yeah.
If he comes
Yeah.
to you, then you play it back, and the other players away in space. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's about keeping that ball moving. Whereas we would kind of go, well, okay, that they haven't moved, so I'm going to, well, where's my option to play the ball? Just play it, and
Yeah.
create the option
Yeah.
yourself.
We do faff around with the ball. Yeah. We do.
So it's interesting stuff. So
It is.
like if we sort of go back then to the beginning. So we were back to a 3-4-3
Mm,
yesterday.
mm.
Richarlison came back in. Royal was back in. Sessegnon, as I say, kept his starting place
Yeah.
with Perisic on the bench, and
Yeah.
Lucas returned to the bench for the first time in a while. Um,
Yeah.
what like, but before, what did you think of the Frankfurt fans? Because I thought quite rightly they got a bit of praise. To be fair,
Praise for the sound that they're making, or the
just the
yeah.
sound, the atmosphere that they've generated. Yeah,
Well, I think there's two things going on here. There's the moaning that goes on about we don't make enough noise in the stadium,
yeah,
and how bloody wonderful it was at White Hart Lane. But actually, it was all the same. Let's face it,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know. And then there's the other side where German teams have this orchestrated. Sorry, German fans have this orchestrated kind of chanting that they'll do non-stop, regardless. If there's an earthquake, anything,
yeah.
volcano blows off, they'll just carry on. It doesn't matter. And in fact, it's really weird because when they score a goal, even though they do cheer, they're kind of back into their chanting again before you know it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's what they do. So I
Uh,
mean, personally, I don't have a problem with it, and it's kind of how it's always kind of been with European games.
oh no,
So
I loved it.
I quite like it in that regard.
I
But
absolutely loved it. I thought there was a point where they would go like so. Like, I mean, they as soon as their players came out, they were just sat around, they were just sat around or whatever, no making no noise at all.
yeah,
Our players came out, they gave them the bird a little bit, gave them a bit of a whistle,
yeah,
and then their players came out, and that was it. They started singing, they were off. Um, and then
yeah,
just before, I think before in the build up, I don't know if it's the Poznan or whatever, but they all linked arms, turned their back to
yep, yep,
the the pitch, and they were bouncing, and it
yeah,
was bouncing for ages. And there was a next to me, there was like a dad, his young lad, and like the granddad, right? So there were
yeah,
three of them there, and the
yeah,
young lad was taking a picture of it, and I was like looking, and I thought, oh yeah, do you know what? It'd be a good video to take. By the time I got up, they stopped. They did something different. I think they were
mm,
clapping each other. But then
yeah,
halfway through the game, I don't know if you noticed, they did this thing where they were waving flags.
yeah,
Like they had their flag and they're twirling their flags, and they'd have one section. So the section on the east stand would go, and they'd sing Frankfurt
oh
or
yeah,
whatever it
because you
was
can
they were
see
singing.
what's happening where you are.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't see
yeah.
this. Yeah, yeah,
And then on my side, like, so then they'd stop, and then on my side, then they'd go, hey, Frankfurt, and the
oh, okay,
flags,
okay,
flags are waving, and then they'd stop, and then the other section would go, and they had like two blokes on either side, so one bloke on one side, one bloke on the other, that did all the orchestration, and they virtually
yeah.
spent the whole game with their back to the pitch, and their arms are up, and they were giving it, and it was fucking brilliant, really good, you know.
Actually, do you know in the 70s it was a bit more like that because you'd have your so-called choir leaders in the crowd who would actually get the fans. You'd
Yeah,
have people starting up chants and that. It
yeah,
doesn't it doesn't really happen so much now. It's more of a kind of a group thing, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
when you have the "We Are the Park Lane" or "We Are the Shell Side,"
yeah,
it just kind of happens spontaneously, and
yeah.
but there is no kind of real orchestration or anything. It's
No,
just
no.
yeah, yeah. I suppose that's what maybe people want, but there's nothing stopping them doing it. I mean, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Organize it.
So, we spoke about Dyer's mistake for the well, I say Dyer's mistake, you say Royal's mistake, but
Well,
we,
I
we
think it was Dyer's mistake, but I don't think you should discount the pass because I think I think he was sold a dummy with that one, really, to a degree. But the whole thing was a bloody fiasco, wasn't it? That goal, Christ!
yeah.
I mean,
And then we've covered, we touched on Son's equaliser, which like put away really well.
yeah,
Kane fed him really well, and then like we kind of then kicked into overdrive, and like
yeah.
less than kind of 10 minutes later, Kane kind of bustles his way into the box, and I
It
had
was
this,
it was a nice bit of skill that he used there,
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he done a lot of hard work to get there as well, and a bit of skill in the box, and I was there was a I was sat there was this guy that wasn't the regular season ticket holder that was there. There was this old duffer, right, who was travelled up from, oh god, where did he travel up from? Might be Reading or somewhere. He comes from quite a way,
Yeah.
and I the man just didn't want to stop chatting. Like he chatted and chatted and chatted. So the whole game was great, and we were talking about it, and I said, well, he's going. He looked at me and he's gone. Like when Kane's gone down, he's gone. What do you think? I said, well, I think you've seen them given. I definitely think that could be a penalty. And
Yeah.
then they gone like, VAR are checking it, and eventually he goes over, and so I looked at him and said, like, well, there you go. But I mean, like, I don't know what your view is, obviously, because I was behind that goal.
Yeah.
But when he struck or when it's gone in, I've said to the guy like this old duffer, I said, well, that weren't a great penalty.
No, it wasn't.
Because it was
It
it
wasn't.
was it was a catchable height, a savable height,
Yeah.
diving height it was,
Yeah.
and
It
it wasn't
was.
right in the corner, and it wasn't actually to his favoured side. I think his favoured
No,
side is the other side, and it's
it
low, and
is low.
you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't know what was the matter with Kane, because obviously we'll come on to the other penalty later, but that was shoddy, that second penalty. So, but
Yeah.
yes, I mean we were lucky, I think, with the first penalty. The way he put it away, because the keeper went the right way.
He
Keeper should
did.
have saved that, I think.
Yeah, yeah. He did stick it in that kind of 2 feet that it needs to be inside the post. So that was kind of, but you're right, the height of it, if the keeper really did throw himself properly at
Yeah,
it, I think he would have got
if
it. Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
committed to it, I think because he
Yeah.
kind of just went in that direction in
Yeah.
hope, rather than actually committing to trying to get to it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
but then again, as I say, so that that's 2-1, and
Mm.
and again we seem to really be in a good rich vein of form at that
Yeah.
point, and really
Yeah,
really
totally.
play, and the goal from like the goal from the second goal from Son was amazing. Like that, again, that was in the goal, like right in front of me, and I really wish that as that play built up, I'd whipped out my phone and videoed
And
it,
got
because
it. Yeah. Yeah.
it was just a goal that I wish I'd captured in the moment when I was there, because it was just fucking unbelievable.
It was brilliant. I mean, it just kind of made the game, really. It was worth the money for just to see that goal. But once again, a bit like Dyer's mistake, I don't think you can take anything away from Højbjerg for that cross that he made, because that
Oh,
cross was a
superb.
peach, absolute peach.
Yeah,
Sonny
he's
didn't need
picked
to
him
do
out, hasn't he?
anything.
No,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
picked him out. The weight of the pass, and this is the thing. Like Højbjerg gets a lot of shit, right? But like this, and I did put up a poll earlier about this. That
I saw
I
that.
think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that his contribution with the ball has significantly improved
yeah, without a
this
doubt.
season.
Yeah,
And um, he's picked him out, and I think it wasn't. I'm pretty sure that I can't remember if it's before or after, but there was an incident where Royal, like Kane or whoever, I think, played a crossfield ball. Royal's in behind, and you think, get to the line. He's in the box. Get to the line and pull it back,
yeah,
like, because there were all our players were arriving late. Just cut
yeah,
it back, cut it back, cut it back. Don't
yeah.
try and go across the like. Don't try and go across the goal. Cut it back. And he doesn't know. He just kicks it. He doesn't. He's not
I know,
really thinking. He's
I
not
know.
thinking play. It's just like,
You
well,
just
I'll
can't
just
do it. Yeah,
no, I'll just cross it there. Whereas at that point, Højbjerg would get his head up
yeah,
and try and pick out a
and
player,
dink
which I
it.
don't think
Yeah,
he's. Yeah, I just
yeah,
don't think he's. So there's a difference there, and I think a bit. You have to give Son a lot of credit for the goal. finish, I say, was fantastic. But you have to
Fantastic
give
technique. Yeah.
Hojbjerg a lot of. I think you've got to give him credit. He's a lot of the pass is fantastic. There's a lot of good stuff that he's doing at the moment. A lot of stuff with like quick feet and beating players and all sorts of stuff that you think, well, I ain't seen that for quite a while. I'm sure that was the kind of player that we saw as well, we'll buy him from Southampton.
Yeah, I think we did in a way.
you
Yeah,
know,
because
well,
I think he's very good going forward. In fact, when he plays for Denmark, he's actually more advanced. So,
yes.
he gets quite a few assists for Denmark. So, yeah, he's for me, he's kind of our player of the season so far. He's keeping it all together. He's undroppable, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, yeah. Don't
That's
tell
mate,
anybody I said
that's a
that.
big claim from Andy. Yeah, a big
Yeah.
claim from Andy. That's
Yeah,
Andy.
that will
Remember,
not go down very well.
remember who said that? That was Andy. All right. Hojbjerg,
Yeah.
player of the season so far. That was from Andy. Just in case there's any confusion.
Yeah, and nothing to do with the Varside podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have a disclaimer on that? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we went high intensity and this is the thing I was going to mention earlier actually. So we played a lot higher up the pitch, trying to win the ball higher up the pitch. And that gave, and we dominated the game. We took control of the game. And then in the second half, primarily, I guess, when they went down to 10 players, but we kind of dropped off again, thinking, well, the game's won. We'll just now control the game. And we sat in that low block. And then that just gave Frankfurt the incentive to push on.
Yeah, and also the substitutions made a big difference, I think.
You're
And
right.
I think Conte's, he said that after the game that basically, what he did and what the players did when they came on didn't work very well.
Okay,
And
I haven't heard any of the interviews, so at least he's tying himself in with that as being
yeah, he tied
accountable.
himself, the players, and also mentions something about the fans, but I don't know how the fans affected it. But
Well, we were a bit dead, really. I don't think
yeah,
we. I don't think we were
we
brave.
were,
So,
but I don't think you can, you know, blame the
well,
fans.
I think I mean, before the game, like I can't remember if it was after the Frankfurt the other game, like the away game, and he said that it's important that we make this a fortress. Like next week,
Yeah,
and the fans will be really important.
yeah,
We want it to be like we've got 30. They can be our two extra players or something like that.
yeah,
So I mean, not even just an extra player, but our two extra players. And it was it wasn't for me. It wasn't a typical European night. We started off making a bit of noise, and then it kind of just petered out, and then that sort of culminated with them scoring, and then it kind of stayed petered out. Whereas when we
yeah,
scored the first time, Frankfurt went, we better sing up a little bit more.
yeah, yeah. They did.
just
Yeah,
just carried on singing.
yeah, yeah.
So
I know.
dear,
Yeah,
I don't
they are funny like that.
know.
So what did you think of? Well, what do you think of Richarlison? Because I felt Richarlison once again last night, although he does do some hard running and what have you, he's still not delivering enough quality up front for me.
I mean, I thought actually, I mean, he works hard and his recovery is good. His out of possession stuff's really good. You
Yeah.
know, for me, he was one of the disappointments in the Sporting game, where he just just started to play for himself. What I did find actually, and I felt a bit sorry for him because I thought his running to get into to be in position to certainly in and around the box, I thought his running to be in position to score was good. He was always kind of in the right place and an option.
Yeah.
But when
Not getting the ball.
yeah, if we could go right where he was or go left where
Yeah.
Son was, we went
Yeah.
left. And the ball might come back in, but it didn't go as far as him on the far post. It would be met in the centre And there was
Yeah.
a point, I think, where he was, I'm sure it was him, where he was just running across the pitch by the centre, like, by the halfway line,
Mm.
running across the pitch trying to get the ball.